It's Sunday night. It's 8 o'clock. Welcome to All Lacrosse Live. I'm Gary Groob in Toronto. With me as always, I've got Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw. Shawn, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. Thanks, Gary.
All right. And we got Muffler Mike over in Connecticut. Mike, how are you?
I'm good.
Excellent. Well, it's been a bizarre week. It's been a strange week. It's been a busy week. And we're going to attack this thing piece by piece by piece as we go through it all. And there's news from every single force along the summer ball highway, shall we say. First, before we get going, just a reminder to everybody, all of our shows are streamed live across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, also Twitch. And remember, we are on Spotify the following day. Remember to hit the subscribe, follow, like buttons, always share. Please enjoy all the affiliates across the Stream Punk Entertainment Network. If you missed a show, no worries. You can grab all the shows on YouTube, which include YouTube Combat, Stream Punk Combat, Stream Punk Cinema, as well as Stream Punk Sports, and all across all the time. Don't forget to follow us. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to tell everybody about us. And when you get there, you will catch retro games, interviews, library of shows, and so much more. Remember, you can stay up to date with all sports by visiting streampunkentertainment.com with articles from a huge staff of contributors. Alrighty, let's get right down to brass tacks, shall we? Shawn, what in the heck is going on in the West with summer ball? Every time I think that we've messed it up over here, you guys go hold my beer and try and outdo us.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start off with the debacle that is Saskatchewan Junior B Lacrosse right now.
Eduardo, welcome.
So the Prairie Gold Lacrosse League Junior B playoffs were supposed to start Thursday this week. However, earlier in the week, and it was supposed to be Prince Albert Predators against Moose Jaw Mustangs. However, earlier in the week, the Predators put out a message on their social media and said Thursday's playoff game versus the Moose Jaw Mustangs canceled. We do not know how this keeps happening, but the semifinal game this Thursday versus the Moose Jaw Mustangs has been canceled and deemed a forfeit. Something needs to change because our fans and our community deserve better. 4 games in 2 seasons, and not even the playoffs are off limits. This means we will be in the finals and will not know who will play until Saturday or Sunday based on the winner of the other semifinal. Do not get discouraged, Preds Nation. We will be home soon enough. So the comments on that post, the rumor is that that game was originally scheduled for Friday, but due to a referee availability, they moved it the last minute to Thursday, not looking at player availability for a middle of the week game. And I'm going to stand up a little bit for my hometown Moose Jaw Mustangs. That's a 3.5 hour drive from Moose Jaw to Prince Albert one way. So to do that in the middle of the week, especially with the parents that have to work, like I know it's July 2nd, it was the day after Canada Day, like that's tough to do, especially if you have working parents. Obviously, kids are off school. I know we need officials. They did have the other semifinal was Friday with the Swift Current Wolverines and the Winnipeg Blizzards, which the Wolverines won 13-10, but Prince Albert obviously won the first one in a forfeit, which, I mean, in the playoffs, you really don't want to see teams forfeiting like that. And whether it was scheduling issue or what have you, you just kind of wonder what the hell. And especially when they say it's 4 games in the past 2 seasons, you kind of wonder what the level of commitment is or why this is happening. We will go on to the finals because there's more to come in this whole saga. So you did have the Swift Current Wolverines versus the Predators in the final 3-game series. Prince Albert Predators won game 1 on Saturday 17-2. And then they swept the series just this afternoon, winning 16-3. So that is their 4th straight PGLL junior title. However, you would think Prince Albert would be off to the Founders Cup. No. According to our friends over at Loose Mesh, our sources are saying that Saskatchewan will not be attending the 2026 Founders Cup in St. John, New Brunswick, and Saskatchewan was slated to host the 2027 Founders Cup. Because Saskatchewan is not participating in 2026, they are now forfeiting their eligibility to host in 2027, and it looks like that will now be going to Alberta. So you have forfeited playoff games. You're not attending the Founders Cup. You're forfeiting hosting a national championship. I really don't know what to say about what's happening in Junior B right now in Saskatchewan. You just kind of wonder what that level of commitment and, whether it's really there right now. So that's the debacle that is Junior B in Saskatchewan. Moving over to Senior B, even more interesting. Because we were talking about how the Winnipeg Blizzard had beat Standing Buffalo twice in a row to head into the playoffs. They had to meet again. Well, yes, the Winnipeg Blizzards beat Standing Buffalo 3 times in a row, this time in the semifinals, 11-9 to knock out the Standing Buffalo Fighting Sioux, probably your favorites to win the title in the semifinals. And then, so in the finals, it's just a 1-game playoff, and the Blizzards beat, in their inaugural season 2, they beat the Saskatoon Brewers 15-5 to win the Junior B title in Saskatchewan. So yeah, that of course Jarrett Smith, the Rush is on that Winnipeg squad, but nothing like Standing Buffalo and the team they have. But the fact they knocked off Standing Buffalo 3 times in a row, then took them out, as well as taking them out in the playoffs, is unbelievable. I don't think anyone really saw that one coming. So a lot going on that side of the table. Moving on to Junior A, not as exciting, I guess, as what's going on in Saskatchewan, but over in BC, Tuesday, New Westminster Salmon Bellies with a 10-6 win over the Delta Islanders. Friday, we had a pair of games. The Coquitlam Madnax continue their domination, 17-3 win over the Langley Thunder. Other game on Friday, Port Coquitlam, right behind the Adnax in the standings too. They had a 16-3 win over the Burnaby Lakers. Yesterday, again, the Adnax, a 13-6 win over the Victoria Shamrocks. And an interesting game here on Saturday as well between Delta and Langley. So Langley scores 2 quick goals midway through the third to take a 7-5 lead. Caden McIntosh scores 2 quick goals to tie up the game for Delta. And then with 5 seconds left on the power play, Turner Anderson scores the game winner for the Delta Hounders. But then the fireworks happen at the end of the game. Head coach for Langley, Matt Beers, because he doesn't have a temper.
No.
Game is conduct for abuse of official. Assistant coach Adam Charlambides for Langley. Game misconduct for abuse of official. And Langley player Mason Eastgate also at the end of the game. Game misconduct for abuse of official. So could be some possible discipline handed down to Beers and Charlambides for I don't know what happened there, but abuse of official is never a good penalty to be taken.
Not really.
No, no. And then we just wrap up the weekend just this afternoon. The Salmon Bellies with a 9-4 win over the Timbermen. So your standings right now: Coquitlam Madnax are 12-2-1. Port Coquitlam is 9-5. Victoria Shamrocks are 9-6. The Langley Thunder are 8-6-1. New Westminster Salmon Bellies are 6-7-1 for 5th place. 6th is the Burnaby Lakers at 6-9. The Delta Islanders are 5-9-1, and then the Nanaimo Timbermen are 2-13. And then Alberta Junior A. We had on Friday, again, the website just says box, so I'm assuming it's a final score. The Saskatchewan SWAT defeated the Winnipeg Blizzards 6-5. On yesterday, you had the Raiders with a 11-4 win over the Edmonton Miners. And then also on Saturday, the Blizzards and the SWAT played to a 6-6 tie. And then on Sunday, the Blizzards took an 11-7 win over the SWAT. And just this afternoon as well, we do have a final. The Raiders and the Mounties played to a 7-7 tie. So our current standings in Alberta, you have the Okotoks Raiders at 12-0-1 in first place. The Mounties in second at 6-6-2. The Edmonton Miners at 7-6. The Winnipeg Blizzard at 4-7-2. And the Saskatchewan SWAT at 2-12-1.
Well, it's a mouthful.
Yeah.
But really, could we get any more messed up?
I just, like I said, it comes to Saskatchewan Junior B. It's heartbreaking out here. I mean, I don't know what's going on, but we can't give our own way.
That's usually the case, isn't it? In every aspect, in one form or another, we just can't seem to get out of our own way. And we're proving it again all over Canada, doing silly things. Anyways, Mike, you're going to have to kind of relieve us from some of this drama. Giving us over to a good old little thing there. The PLL had their all-star game today. Interesting that you'd have it on the 4th of July weekend. But, hey, I guess they guaranteed people would be off. So,
yeah, and for the men, the West team beat the East team 12-9. And the women had their all-star game with Team Izzy. That's Izzy Skane as the captain, beating Team Ashley Humphrey 16-15. We had skills competition, of course. We'll start with the men's fastest shot winner. Another Archers player, this time not Graham Hosick, but Mason Woodward, who won with a top speed of 115 miles an hour.
What's going on? They're getting slower.
Yeah. Hosick probably had a little chuckle. Didn't need more than both his hands to count how far back the speed was. For the women, also missing last year's winner, Charlotte North, who is out with injury. Emily Harris-Chuck takes the title this year with an 86 mile an hour shot. And then we had the accuracy challenge. Advancing on the men's side was Joey Spalina, and advancing on the women's side was Rachel Clark of the Boston Guard. And Spalina defeated Clark in the final. So those are your winners from All-Star Weekend.
Also, the MVP went once again to Brett Dobson with another spectacular performance.
That guy racks up MVP awards, I tell you.
The old box doesn't matter.
Yeah, with him it doesn't make a difference. He's just the MVP. Simply put. All right. We get back into league play next week, and we get back into our pick'ems to see who can hit the basement hardest.
Working on it.
Yeah, this is foreign territory to Shawn, man. We got to let move around the room a little bit because
I'm usually used to the penthouse, but not the basement.
Yeah, I spent all week forgetting that we were all under 500 right now. So
yeah, well,
thanks for that reminder.
I'm here for it. Little reminders, little things that mean a lot to somebody. I don't know. Anyways, let's get on to Ontario Junior Lacrosse League, and we've talked about this, and everything is starting to tighten up now, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that we don't have any abject, unless you're looking at St. Catharines, who's just running away with the West. But anyways, we started out last Monday with Six Nations and Peterborough getting together, and Six Nations beat up on Peterborough 13-6. Kitchener and Oakville got together on Tuesday, and Kitchener's made all those moves, right? And 422 first-round picks later, and they squeaked by Oakville 12-11. Whitby and Orangeville, in what was a really entertaining game, hit one another, and it was Whitby that came up on the upside of this 11-8. Mimico and Burlington both have been underperforming this year. Mimico got up and stayed up and was 15-9 winners. The Excelsiors, who have really had a decent year this year and are looking to really going to make some noise in the playoffs for the first time in a few years, they beat the Toronto Beaches 11-7, still on Tuesday. Alora, who's had a rough year, lost to Six Nations 15-4. We move up into Thursday after Canada Day, and the Beaches beat Oakville 10-9, which is just showing you the parity of this league. Orangeville and St. Catharines went head-to-head, and St. Catharines came out on top 8-6. Now, again, one of the highlights of the week was Whitby and Brampton getting together over in Brampton on Friday, and Whitby came out on top barely, 11-10 winners over the Excelsiors. Elora beat Peterborough. Won't say that very often this year. Elora won, and they won 11-7 over Peterborough. Oakville and Burlington played again, and it was Burlington that came out on top. This was yesterday, and today we have had a few games as well, in which Oakville beat Elora 8-4. Brampton beat Mimico 7-4. Whitby, they're still going right now at 7-5 over Six Nations. Orangeville is still going at 8-4 over St. Catharines. Keeping my eye on that one. This one's an interesting one. If we take a look at the standings to this point, Whitby is in front in the East with a 10-6 record. Brampton is right on their heels at 9-4. Orangeville on their heels at 8-6, and the Beaches at 6-9. Mimico 5-12. Peterborough at 4-11. In the West, St. Catharines has been just the class of the league at 14-2, but Six Nations isn't far behind at 12-4. Kitchener, third place, 11-5. Oakville 7-5. Burlington 6-11. Elora at 3-11. But I'm very curious at the Orangeville St. Catharines game today and how that turns out, because that'd be a big feather in Orangeville's cap, and it will jettison them into a tie with Brampton at number 2 in the East. So lots of big things going on there. We had a busy week in the second last week of Ontario Series Lacrosse, and we start out with a couple of real barn burners this weekend. The North Stars and Collingwood got together, and what looked to be Collingwood going and surprising everybody. Hamilton comes out with the 11-5 victory with strong second and third periods. It was just 3-2 after the first, but Collingwood has had their troubles this year, and Hamilton has just been looking for a time to shine, and this was their game. Sorry, Owen Sound. But we move into the next day, and Hamilton has Collingwood. And again, Collingwood gets up on a couple of short-handed markers. And a strong 40 minutes takes a 5-3 lead for Collingwood and turns it into a 12-6 win for Hamilton. Hamilton finally found the ignite button. and there they went. But it really, for a while there, looked like Collingwood had found their mojo. And a couple of shorthanded goals just changed the whole complexion of things. But to Hamilton's credit, they weren't fazed by it. And they put a relentless attack in the third, especially, and came away with that victory. The game of the week, which was touted as such, was the rematch of the undefeated Brooklyn Merchants against the Six Nation Rivermen. If we remember correctly last week, the Merchants came out on top fairly heavily over the Rivermen. This week, new week. This week, different game. The Six Nations Rivermen used a dominant third period performance to hand the Brooklyn Merchants their first loss of the season, pulling away for a convincing 13-8 victory. After a tightly contested first 40 minutes, the Rivermen exploded for 7 third period goals, fueled by balanced scoring and relentless transitional play. Jackson Webster led the attack with a hat trick, while Marshall Palace scored twice, as well as Greg Elijah Brown, Thunder Hill, Ryan Andrews, Mason Hill, and Braden Saris all contributing. Cam Dunkerley was sensational in net for the Rivermen. Brooklyn was paced by Lucas Littlejohn, and because both the A team and the senior B team were playing, they had to get a little creative with who was wearing which uniform. So Lucas Littlejohn was on with the Merchants in this week, and impressive 4 goals he had. Glenn Tour on defense, he had 2, despite battling back within striking distance. The Merchants just couldn't get over the hump, and again, a 7-goal third that sealed the deal for the Rivermen. They're actually now sitting in first place with just a hint of a better record. But hey, 9 wins for them now. 1 more week to go. It's going to be a big week next week. This evening, we had the Bengals in a very entertaining game against the Owen Sound North Stars. And it really looked like, again, Owen Sound was going to go and do big things. But this game came down to the wire. In fact, a couple of times it looked like Owen Sound was just going to run away with it. Hamilton, to their credit, came back. Now, with the ending of the game, we had Jaden Patterson tying the game with 1:18 left, and Carson Moyer winning the game with 45 seconds left for the 9-8 victory for Hamilton. We had one game that just finished up, and that was Brooklyn and Ennismore. And this one, pretty much from the start, wasn't in doubt. And Brooklyn won 16-9. Now, looking at the standings after this week, with 1 week remaining, we have Six Nations and Brooklyn, both with 9 wins. The difference being that Brooklyn has a game in hand on Six Nations, who is at 9-2. Brooklyn is at 9-1. So we're talking about percentage points now as the difference. Owen Sound is in third place at 7-5. Hamilton has moved themselves comfortably into fourth, the cutoff point, at 5-5. Belleville is at 3-7. Collingwood 2-8, and Ennismore at 2-9. There are 5 games on the slate for next week, and every one of them has repercussions, or percussions, if you will. We have Hamilton against Brooklyn on Saturday. Belleville into Ennismore. Six Nations facing Collingwood. On the Sunday, we have Brooklyn and Hamilton again in the home and home. And Belleville and Collingwood facing one another. Those 2 Brooklyn games are going to decide who is in first and who is in second in this league. Simple. So you're going to want to stay tuned for everything going on OSL. It's coming down to the wire. All right. The only one who finished up their season is Owen Sound. They've got their 12 games in already, and they're 7-5 and sitting in third, looking comfortable now. However, Hamilton can jettison them into fourth. Stay tuned. All has to do with that Brooklyn Hamilton home and home. All right. That takes care of Senior B in Ontario. Another exciting week, eh, guys?
Oh, yeah.
We had a bunch of moves, and they all seem to culminate in and around Canada Day for some reason. We'll go through a couple of these things with you. Start off with Jordan Goddard went over to Hamilton. He actually played a big part in today's game for cash over to the Rivermen. We had Andrew Kidd going to Owen Sound for cash considerations over to Ennismore. That's big because he's playing with Owen Sound in Senior A as well. So he's able to do double duty for them. Michael Blaemeyers is also gone over to Owen Sound from the James Gang for cash considerations. But again, both these guys are returning for next season. This is strictly for the end of this, basically a rental player for both of them. We have some interesting ones here. Dylan Watson and Bo Columbus. Bo Columbus goes to Owen Sound. Dylan Watson, who played a big role this weekend for Brooklyn, including being in on a couple of the goals leading to yesterday's win. Also, this is the big one, guys. The Six Nations Chiefs just got even stronger. Now, I don't even know if Saga Thompson is going to play in major series since he is a field goalie. But Six Nations not only gets David Anderson, who is a bona fide star, they also get the rights to Owen Grant until 2028. They also receive the playing rights to Stone Jacobs. And in return, a truckload of money is going to go over to Coburg. Welcome to MSL. Interesting, eh? One more. Brooklyn beefed up this week, getting Brody Burkhoff. And in return, Peterborough gets the 4th and 5th round pick from Brooklyn for the 2028 draft. Yes, I was busy with trade this week. One other thing, if you are interested, and Mike, if you have a little extra money rolling around, maybe you'd like to get yourself put on in some of the game things. Major Series Lacrosse, game night sponsorship. Put your sponsorship into the thing there, you know?
Nice.
All kinds of bonuses for doing that. If you need to get a hold of somebody at Major Series Lacrosse to it, you can DM me, and I will put you in touch with the commissioner. You can also look at everything that you will get by looking at Major Series either on Instagram, Major Series on Facebook, Major Series on Twitter, or you can go onto the Major Series Lacrosse website. It is there as well with everything that it entails and all the bonuses and benefits you get as a sponsor, game night sponsor, which includes an ad on Flow TV too, right? So, alrighty. That should bring us on over to the WLA, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so we can start last Sunday. Again, another game we circled on the calendar with the Victoria Shamrocks and the Maple Ridge Burrards. And I think we expected a little bit more out of Maple Ridge, and obviously this takes the season series, sweeps the season series for Victoria over Maple Ridge. Shamrocks with a 15-6 win. And it was an ugly one. 5-1 after the first for Victoria, 12-4 after the second. Maple Ridge kept it a little bit close, 3-2 for Victoria in the third period, but again, 55 shots on goal for Victoria. The Shamrocks, Marshall King led the way, 3 goals, 4 assists. He had a hat trick and 3 assists from Patrick Dodds, 2 goals and 2 assists from Zach Mance and Eli McLaughlin each in goal. Chris O'Reilly and Adam Bland actually split some time. Orig stopped 32 of 38 shots, and Adam Bland actually stopped all 10 shots that he faced in just under 5 minutes of playing time for himself. For Maple Ridge, a goal and 2 assists from Marcus Clarich, 2 goals and an assist from Tyler Pace. John Phillips with a goal and assist, as we'll get to that trade in a minute here. And that's pretty much it for the Berards. And in goal, Jack Kask and Brandon Humphrey split the time. Kask stopped 18 to 25, and Humphrey stopped 22 of 30 in that one. So that again, Victoria goes up another game on Maple Ridge for first place in the standings. And heading into Tuesday, as I was going to mention, Burnaby wins 3 in a row now. They defeated the Langley Thunder on Tuesday, 14-8. Thunder made some. Looks like they're starting to play for next year. As I mentioned about John Phillips, he was traded to Maple Ridge this week. Then Langley traded Connor Robinson to Coquitlam, and then Frank Chiliano was traded off to Victoria this week. So they traded off a lot of key assets for draft picks and, future considerations, that kind of thing. So it looks like they're at the point now where they're kind of throwing in the towel and playing for next year. Burnaby is starting to move up the standings a little bit. And in this game, they were up 10-6 heading into the third and just kept their foot on the gas to win it. 7 goals in the first period as well. Ton of shots on net in this one. 57 for Burnaby, 54 for Langley. For the Lakers, Ethan Emlott continues to be playing well. A goal and 5 assists. Finn Halliday, hat trick and 3 assists. Jake Young, a hat trick and 2 assists. Dawson Ducommon, 3 goals, 2 assists. 2 goals and an assist from Ryan Favreau. And in goal, Mark Ripberger, 46 saves on 54 shots. Then for Langley, Connor Robinson in one of his last games in a Thunder uniform, 2 goals, 2 assists. Nathaniel Koznevnikov, I can never pronounce that, pardon me, 1 goal, 2 assists. Dante Kulas, 2 goals and an assist, and 2 assists from Trevane Hunter. And in goal, Keegan Okino got the start and stopped 43 of 57 shots in the loss. Then moving on to, I believe it was Thursday was our next game. Coquitlam against New Westminster, and a close one in this one. But New Westminster comes away with a big 7-6 win to kind of tighten up a little bit in that kind of second, third, fourth kind of spots in the standings. This one came down to actually the Bellies had a 7-3 lead late in this game. And with the extra attacker on the floor late, David Cherney had 3 goals, actually natural hat trick with the extra attacker on the floor. But the comeback just fell short for the Adenacks. For the Salmon Bellies, Owen Ron, a hat trick and an assist. Will Malcolm, a goal and 3 assists. Noah Armitage, a goal and 2 assists. Lucas Nielsen with 2 assists. And Ashton LeClaire, he was a fairly decent season here so far for the Salmon Bellies in goal. 39 saves on 45 shots. For the Adnacks, as I mentioned, David Cherney, he had the hat trick of those last 3 goals right at the end of the game. Kane Moon, 2 goals, 2 assists. Adam Noakes, a goal and 2 assists. And Christian Del Bianco in goal, stopped 34 of 41 shots in the loss. Then we move on to Friday, New Westminster and Victoria. And Victoria just holds on for a 9-8 win over New Westminster. Actually, New West was up 7-6 about halfway through the third period, but goals by Patrick Dodds, Marshall King, and Zach Mans put the Shamrock up 9-7. Then with about 13 seconds left, Turo Muramatsu scored with the extra attacker, but again, comeback falls short. For the Salmon Bellies, for the Shamrocks, again, Zach Mans, 3 goals, 2 assists. Marshall King, 2 goals, 2 assists. Luke Pilcher, 2 goals and an assist. In goal, Earl Rigg was back in goal for the Shamrocks and stopped 45 of 53 shots. For the Salmon Bellies, Noah Armitage, 2 goals, 2 assists. Turo Muramatsu with 3 goals, 3 assists from Will Malcolm, and Dylan Doucette with 2 assists. And in goal again, Ashton Leclerc, 46 saves after 55 shots. Then Mike had the other game on Saturday.
Yeah,
Friday, sorry.
Yeah, the unfortunately the big win streak for Burnaby comes to an end. Maple Ridge kind of rights the ship with a 12-7 win. They actually led 8-7 after 2, so the game was still close after the second period, but Burnaby gets shut out 4-0 in the final 20 minutes to snap their 3-game win streak. For the Lakers, Ryan Favreau, hat trick and an assist. Jake Young had 2 goals and an assist. He had a goal and an assist from Andrew Cowan, a goal from Ben Stewart. Finn Halliday had 5 assists on the night. Mark Rittberger, 45 saves in net for Burnaby. Maple Ridge, you had 7-point nights from Tyler Pace and Marcus Clarich. Pace had 3 goals, 4 assists. Clarich had 2 goals and 5 assists. And I'm going to make my case in the caption here. Right now, Marcus Clarich is first in the WLA with 63 points. He's second in goals with 28, and he's first in assists with 35. So making a strong case for back-to-back. And if Maple Ridge is not representing BC at the Mann Cup, I think we can bet that Marcus Clarich will be representing BC at the Mann Cup as one of the additional players, most likely taken by whoever does represent BC. But the Berards also get a goal and 2 assists from John Phillips in his debut after coming over from Langley in the middle of the week. Dagan Carlson, a goal and 2 assists, and Jack Cask, 33 saves in the win. So, again, Maple Ridge snaps Burnaby's 3-game win streak, denies Burnaby a chance to pull even in the win column with pretty much half the league for third place. Coquitlam, Nanaimo, New West all have 5 wins at this point. And Maple Ridge stays just 2 games behind Victoria. Unfortunately, they don't have that. They have that series sweep, getting swept by Victoria. So they'll.
So really, it's more like a 3-game.
Yeah. They would need the Shamrocks to have a pretty epic collapse in the final third of the season here if they want to take the regular season title. Moving to Saturday, Coquitlam and Nanaimo, and basically a game for third place. Both teams came in at 5-5. Coquitlam doubles up Nanaimo, 12-6. A big third period kind of allowed Coquitlam to pull away. David Charney with 4 goals and an assist. Robert Church making his season debut for the Adnacks, 3 goals, 3 assists. Keen Moon, pair of goals and 4 assists. 2 goals, 3 assists from Adam Noakes. And Connor Robinson also making his no, I'm sorry. I believe he played earlier in the week against the Bellies, but he came over this week or last week from Langley. He had a goal and 4 assists for the Adnacks. Christian Del Bianco in net, 34 saves. For Nanaimo, 2 goals from Andrew Bowman, a goal and an assist from Noah Manning and Logan Schmidt. Kalen Mander had a goal. Colton Lidstone had 3 assists for the Timbermen. And Colby Bowman made 26 saves in the loss. So Nanaimo falls below 500. They're actually tied for 4th place right now, I think, with New West at 5-6. Coquitlam is in 3rd place at 6-5. And Burnaby not far behind at 4-8.
Yeah, I guess kind of highlighting what we have coming up this week on Tuesday. Coquitlam against the Lakers, and the way Lakers have been playing lately, I wouldn't sleep on them too much. Then you have Nanaimo against Langley on Wednesday, Maple Ridge against New Westminster on Thursday. So that one could be interesting, especially in kind of that battle, as we mentioned, kind of that 2 through even 5th and 6th is becoming a tight battle now. Friday, Langley against Victoria. Unfortunately, with the moves we're seeing from Langley, that could be a tough one for the Thunder. And Saturday, a couple of games. Nanaimo will be taking on Maple Ridge, and Burnaby will have another game against the Adnacks on Saturday. And then we wrap up the weekend on Sunday with Victoria against Nanaimo.
Once you're muted, Gary.
Excellent. How's that? Doing some of my best work muted. Standing wise, though, it's looking pretty crazy out there, right?
Yeah, let's get the standings back up again. But
I think Victoria's. I mean, we're about 2/3 of the way through the season, so Victoria's 10-2, Maple Ridge 8-4. And then I believe Coquitlam's at 6-5. Then you have Nanaimo and New West, 5-6 each, tied for that final playoff spot. And then you have Burnaby at 4-8, and Langley's bringing up the rear at 2-10, 2-9,
2-9, yeah,
2-9.
All right, excellent. So we're gonna have a barn burner with finish. At least for the middle spots, it looks like.
Yeah, kind of even that, like I said, that 2 through even 6 is Amway's game at this point in time.
Yeah, and I mean, there's only 4 weeks left, but I mean, the next 3 weeks I think are all pretty packed with 6-7 games per week.
Yeah.
So.
And again, you look at the Adnacks. I just look at the Adnacks right now and what they picked up with, Connor Robinson. You mentioned, Robert Church is now in the mix. Plus, of course, you got Christian Del Bianco in goal. They could start making a run.
Definitely.
Anytime he's in net is a scary time.
Yeah.
Which is.
And like I said, they're starting to load up now on other positions as well.
Right. All righty. Their counterparts over in major series here. I don't know if it's a surprise of the year, but the team that is really gelled the quickest, other than Six Nations, is Oakville. And they had another good week. Monday, they started against Peterborough over at the track. And again, they continued their impressive season, defeating the Lakers 13-8. Now, a number of the Lakers didn't make the trip. Rob Hellier, their leading scorer, being one of them. Holden Katoni played one period, had 3 goals, and had to come out of the game with his calf muscle still on the mend. But after an entertaining opening period, which featured 6 lead changes and momentum swings, Oakville gradually took control using 4-goal first and a dominant third to improve to 7-2 on the season at this point. Josh Tolwick, 3 goals, 4 assists. Sam Leclerc, 3 goals, 3 assists. Alex Simmons, 2 goals, 4 assists. And Carson Moyer, 3 goals, 2 assists, spearheaded the Rock offense, while Mike McCannell added a goal and 2 assists. Peterborough received a hat trick from Holden Katoni. Ryan Lansbury was outstanding with 5 assists in the game. Despite battling back from a 2-goal deficit to tie the game midway through the second, the Lakers just couldn't contain Oakville's attack, and that was all she wrote. We move on over to Tuesday, and, well, Six Nations and Brampton. You'd really like me to say that Brampton upset Six Nations for their first loss of the year. Lots of people would like me to say that, but we're talking truth here, and that's not going to happen. In fact, this game, 15-2 is what this game was. 15-2. Yeah. The 2 I take as victories, because for a while there, it didn't look like they were going to get anything. The Chiefs controlled this contest from opening faceoff. They exploded for 6 first-period goals, added 7 more in the second, and then built an insurmountable 13-0 lead. They played keep away in the third, is what they did. And Brampton continued to battle despite the deficit. They finally broke the shutout early in the third on a blistering shot from Thomas McConvey before Cody Innes added a power play marker late in the frame. However, the Chiefs answered each one of them easily, cruising to a decisive 15-2 victory. Once again, anybody?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was going on.
Maybe Oakville.
The one game that they did play, Mike, I'll tell you this, is it was 3-3 for the longest point, and then the third period happened and Six Nations pulled away. But this was before the moves, so Oakville has bolstered up as well. So is it possible? Yeah. Is it possible 4 times out of 7?
Probably not.
I can't see it. That's why we play the games. But anyways, Owen Sound and Coburg got together also in a rare Tuesday night in Coburg. And, well, interesting game. In fact, Coburg built another one of those 4-0 leads like last Sunday when they had a 4-0 lead and wound up losing the game to Brampton. Well, they had a 4-0 lead in this one, and guess what? That's right, Owen Sound came back entirely. But this time along, the third period belonged entirely to Coburg. Aaron Woods, Thompson, Shane Hallowell, and Brock Haley spearheaded a relentless offensive attack, combining for 6 goals to put this game out of reach, and it was an 11-5 victory for Coburg. Do you see a trend here? Get up, don't stay up. Wait till I tell you about tonight's game. Whew. Anyways, we get past Canada Day and all the trades, and Thursday was interesting because we had 2 games going on. We had Oakville into Brampton, and we had Peterborough hosting the Coburg Kodiaks. And you know what happened in both of these games, Mike? They both finished 11-3. That's correct. Oakville erupts early, cruises to an 11-3 victory. Lakers dominate the Kodiaks with an explosive second period, and that's all she wrote there. 11-3 times 2. Interesting, eh? Yesterday, Brooklyn went into Owen Sound. Now, interestingly enough, Brooklyn has been having some struggling problems here. Now, with these, again, I mentioned it in OSL, is with the senior B team playing as well as the A team playing, they had to kind of mix and match their players to have lineups for both. So we had some people playing where they normally didn't, but it is what it is, right? But in this particular game, Owen Sound actually at one point was up by a couple of goals on a couple of shorthanded markers. Changed the whole complexion of the game. However, to Brooklyn's credit, in the third period, newly acquired Dylan Watson played a big role. He opened the third period scoring off a Chase Scanlon feed, but another call-up for Owen Sound, who was my second star of the game, actually, Everest Lahome Wickens. That's a household name and will be soon. Everest Lahome Wickens had got his second goal of the game in the third period to put them up again late on into the game. Chase Scanlon tied the game on the power play after corralling a Dylan Watson shot that had hit the post. Then, not a minute later, Will McLeod scores on a really strange play where he receives a pass from Max Schreier, and he scores with about 6 minutes to go to put Brooklyn in the lead 7-6. And though Owen Sound desperately tried to get a goal, Aiden Walsh and the Brooklyn defense were stellar down the stretch, and Brooklyn comes away with a very narrow 7-6 victory. Of note also is that Owen Sound outshot Brooklyn 45-40 in this game. That leads us into the finale, and that is tonight's game with the Brampton Excelsiors and the Coburg Kodiaks. Now, Brampton came out on fire in this game. They scored 5 goals in the first period to really set the tone in this thing. Thomas McConvey and Mike Triolo. Those names just keep coming up. One to the other to one. And Eric Acton. And the three of them combined again and again and had Coburg flat-footed. They replaced Lane Ruska with Jackson Brown, just like they did last week. And Jackson Brown, once again, stopped the bleeding there. After McConvey got one more on him to make it 5-0, Coburg goes and rhymes off 10 goals in a row.
Jeez.
Led by Alex Marinier, who had something in the neighborhood of 6 goals in this game. Brock Haley, who had a number of goals in it as well. Jason Knox, who, if you were wondering who was going to take over after the trades made this week, there's your guy. He had a couple of absolute howitzers from the outside that caught short side on Riley Hutchcraft. And also made a couple of really sweet plays along the way for assists. However, it didn't stop there because Brampton mounted an attack again. In fact, early on in the third period, it was 11-10 for Coburg, just over Brampton. And the last 2/3 of the third period went up and down, back and forth, in and around in a track meet, with both Jackson Brown and Riley Hutchcraft making some incredible saves as to not lose this game. 13-11. That was your final score. And what I would say is a very entertaining game. If you hadn't seen it and you have Flow Live, get on and watch the replay of the game. If you don't have Flow Live, you can still get Flow Live and catch all the MSL games, as well as many other sports along the way as well. Definitely worth it. It's also great, and the stats aren't exactly right, to watch the game so you know actually who scored. There were some strange ones this week. Yes. But hey, what can you do? Upcoming this week, we have tomorrow, Brooklyn into the track to face Oakville. Peterborough and Six Nations go head-to-head at the ILA on Tuesday. Chicken wrap day, Mike. Have it your way. Anyway. There's a few good things there on that menu. Never mind. In Wednesday, you have Brooklyn and Oakville facing off with each other over at the Iroquois Park. On Thursday, Peterborough hosts Owen Sound, while Brampton is hosting the Six Nations Chiefs for a rematch of that to do. Over on Saturday, Owen Sound will be hosting Coburg. And on Sunday, Oakville is into Coburg in what should be a very interesting game Sunday evening, 6 p.m. if you're into Coburg. And that is the week that is. Now, just before we head away, the standings on all this. Of course, Six Nations is in the lead. Surprise, surprise, yes? They are at 10-0, sitting comfortably. And, of course, nothing is complete without seeing, well, it won't show me on here. The plus minuses I was hoping to get, but well, let's see. There it is. The differential is 74, plus 74.
Goodness.
The next closest to Six Nations is 26 from Oakville, 13 from Peterborough, and then everything else is in minuses. In fact, the astounding one is the Brampton one, which is at minus 70.
Wow.
Minus 70. Ouch. Owen Sound is minus 30. Coburg's minus 7. Brooklyn is minus 6. Ouch. Oakville is sitting in second at 8-2. Peterborough at 6-5. Brooklyn at 6-6. Coburg at 6-5 as well, as we are 2/3 of the way through the season. A couple of teams, Oakville and Six Nations to be exact, have only played 10 games, so they have a few games in hand. Ironically, they're at the top of the standings. But Brampton has played 13, whereas Brooklyn has played 12, Peterborough 11, Coburg 11, and Owen Sound 11 games. So midway, so we say 2/3 of the way through the season. A few more weeks to go. The season ends the first day of August, and then we're in the playoffs. OSL next week is the last games of the season, and then playoffs. So to see who's going to go to the Prezi, which is in Edmonton this year. Well, that is the week that was. Busy, eh? Especially with holidays in the middle. You wouldn't expect all these trades. You wouldn't expect all these other things going on. But, man, I'm curious to see how Six Nations fits all these stars in there now. Because, again, who sits? Well, that's an all-star team. That's the first and second all-star teams in the NLL, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you better not have a bad game because you may not make it back in the lineup. Just amazing how the rich get richer. And now it's younger players, too. So if we're worried about Six Nations, as long as there's money in that place, which there is, this can go on for a number of years. Now, we brought this up before, right? When does this end? It ends when the West says enough of this, doesn't come up for the Mann Cup, and plays Alberta for a different trophy. That's when this ends. That's when someone will take notice. Because until then, who's going to take notice? Who's going to do anything? Yeah, Victoria does it in the West, sometimes New West. Peterborough and Six Nations have been flipping back and forth for the last decade or two. Before that, it was Brampton and Brooklyn doing it. as old as time, right? It's just with Six Nations doing it so blatantly, everybody goes, hey, it's been going on forever, guys. I'm just curious if there's enough money out west to maybe draw some guys out west, give them some mountainous views in the summer.
Well, I was going to say that's the thing, right? The talent's probably there out west. It's just they're more scattered amongst the teams. That's why you may love it or hate it, that rule of bringing in 2 extra players. But especially if you want to compete with a team like Six Nations, like
yes,
you're going to have to bring in those. So,
I hate the idea of a
I
guy
get that. Yeah,
who killed himself all summer, put himself away from his family all summer, and did everything that he could to be part of this team to go into the Mann Cup. And now you tell him he's one of the 3. I'm sorry, we don't need you anymore. I hate that idea.
and I agree with you on that point, Gary. But then, how do you beat Six Nations?
You have just as much time to get on the phone and try and recruit people like they're doing. Now, if it takes this much money, then I guess it takes that much money, even though there's supposed to be no money in amateur lacrosse.
Yeah.
Correct? But again, if they're not going to show the books to the government, why would they show it to MSL?
And I was thinking, like I said, I think there's the talent in the West. It's spread over the other teams. Like you said, other teams need to start. If they want to compete, like you got to start making these super teams. Like,
well, yeah, and then start doing what they're doing in the East, collecting all the money to keep their teams afloat, where they become a farm system for the Six Nations team that's going to go and represent the Mann Cup. Sad how that's turning there. We're playing for 2-7. Right? Playing for runner-up. So until somebody in a higher pay grade than me can figure it out that it makes sense, But like I say, that when I start hearing the whining about buying a team, tell me a year where that didn't happen. I'm all ears. I'll give you all the paperwork. I'll give you all the years, and you can tell me the year that wasn't happening. Some guys are still having their houses paid for by teams long after they're playing. So you tell me. This is just a little more blatant. So good for one, good for all, isn't it? What I got to say, like I've said in many a conversation when it comes to out west, is you have as much time to form your team as I do down east. Out west, down east. Never figured that one out. How was it out west for down east? But you have just as much time to figure out your team and trying to recruit and get the best people possible. And it doesn't mean they have to be from BC. It doesn't mean they have to be from Ontario. It can be from anywhere. Hell, if you can drive a truckload of money to Joey Spalina's house, I'm pretty sure he'll play for you.
Yeah, that's the biggest question mark is the money. I don't know if the money's still there. I don't know if the money's the same out west as it is out east.
Right. Now, less and less you have to worry about their jobs because most of these guys are making lacrosse a year-round profession. So we don't have that anymore. Well, I work in Toronto, so I don't want to be too far away from. Well, I work in Vancouver. I don't really want to be flying, during the week for a game to fly back. That doesn't make any sense. But if they're in as a 100%, lacrosse player, it's possible to get them there. But again, that depends. You're looking at teams like New West and Victoria, honestly, ones who have the money.
Yeah.
Victoria more than New West, but still. And you're looking at Peterborough, who gets that kind of money coming in with attendance, with revenue through sponsorships and other things as well, which some of the other teams don't get, at least not to that extent. So it's about being viable, I guess. But eventually, how many more spots can there be on Six Nations? Did you want to just get a ring for not playing? Because you want to be part of it, don't you? Isn't that the competitiveness in you? Once the 20 spots are taken, where are you going? You're not going to be sitting Josh Byrne or Dane Smith or Ryan Smith or Ian McKay or Latrell Harris or Dane Smith or Steve Priola when he comes back. So where do you go? If you're a goalie, who are you replacing? Warren Hill or Doug Jameson?
Yeah. I guess that's the flip of the other side of the coin too. When you talk about, adding those players in BC and saying, well, now you're telling someone to sit who's been playing all year. You have a team like you're saying with Six Nations where you're basically telling really good players you can get a ring, but you're sitting.
That's basically what we're doing in Six Nations right now.
Yeah.
Where is Steven Anderson going to be playing? Bonafide star. Where is he playing? Who is he replacing? That's my question. It's like being drafted by the Buffalo Bandits during their three-peat. They're not going to change that lineup. Where exactly are you going to be sitting in the press box? That's not why you went through junior to be drafted in the first round, is so you can sit up in the press box for 2 years. Am I correct? So eventually, that's going to have to spill off. Coburg is starting to reap some of the benefits because of some of the Peterborough area guys that are still close to home playing in Coburg. That's where that comes in handy. And soon you'll see the Belleville Kodiaks in Senior B reaping the benefits since they have an agreement with Coburg about their players. So I expect to see a lot more next year out of Belleville. 1 year in, learning how it's going and doing things there. But, when you're looking at a place like Brampton, who's got great juniors coming through for the first time in a few years, that's going to start reaping its way up soon too. So we hope. Someone I didn't see playing, Curtis Ward. I didn't see him playing today. If he was in there, could this have been a different story at a 13-11 game? Maybe. But how competitive is it when you get your doors blown off twice this week, 11-3 and 15-2? That'd make it a lot of fun to go out of your way to come play, isn't it? But, the build has to start somewhere. There's a lot of young talent there. There's a few players who didn't come back this year from last year's that were really viable. But getting Thomas McConvey in there certainly makes things a lot more exciting, doesn't it? I honestly like to see Connor O'Toole in a little more. It's the future. If you can't get into summer ball, where are you playing? Because he's not going to get in over Del Bianco, right?
Right.
Okay. Thanks, Ward. Appreciate it. I just didn't notice him out there. I'm sorry. There's too many other things going on in that game. But overall, there's a lot of things that I see upside coming with Brampton. But, without that kind of stuff, yeah, I saw that yesterday in Hamilton. But again, Hamilton's making a play too to make sure they're in the playoffs because they've had a rough year in Senior B. They've underachieved until recent. And a lot of it was due to undisciplined play. Now they look to seem to have everything under their belts, and they look good this weekend for most of it. There's some rough patches today too, but the ends justify the means. But to get back to my point on it, you look at a team like Oakville, right? They've made a couple of deals in there, also giving away some things. You see them giving away Ryan Lansbury, and you're going, what? But it's working. Alex Simmons and Josh Talwick have a great relationship, and they play very well and have for years. I know they're all over. So I think that kind of works. They have a number of other players coming up and coming in. They're young. And you don't see Ty English this year or Sam English as you've seen in year past. Konstantopoulos is fitting real nicely there. And I'm sure Chugger's very happy since he's the future of Buffalo in the NLL to see that he's getting it at the, major Series A level, which is what this is all about, right? Jamie has used this forever as an audition for players who are going to be coming on the Rock. So there's a number of players there that you might very well see in drafts coming up. But, in the meantime, though, like I say, at a certain point, guys are going to have to look at it and go, do I get to play? So do they still keep going to Six Nations? Or do they just go, I can be a star on this team or I can sit on the bench in that one? All depends what your goal is. Anyways, that's enough on that. We have another big week ahead of us next week. Lots of things. Lineups and rosters had to be in earlier in the week, so they are locked in the East. So I am thinking that we're not going to see a whole lot of movement. Maybe a bit, but not much. But now they're jockeying for who is going to be where. Remember, it's only top 4 get in, right? So these games mean something. And lots of guys want to go to Edmonton for the Prezi. Can't say lots of guys want to go everywhere else for the Mann Cup because I can't see anybody beating Six Nations. But it is in the East, so. All right. Let's leave it there for now. I want to thank everybody, as always, for sticking with us all during the week and through the show. We appreciate everything. I appreciate seeing everybody at the arenas and all over the place. And again, all your comments are very, very great. We appreciate it. Thank you so much for being so interactive with us. It is our privilege as well as our pleasure to give you all the information up to date and correct as quickly as we can humanly get it to you. We are your Costco of lacrosse. We're your one-stop shop for everything to do with lacrosse, whether it be field, sixes, box, summer, winter, spring, fall. It really don't matter. NCAA, we got it all for you. And we have somebody on it. Next week, we'll see Pat again because we'll have Water Dog Clay involved. But that brings us over to last words. Shawn, last words to you.
Yeah, I guess first over the WLA, kind of looking forward to seeing kind of what happens. We saw Victoria, load up with Frank Chiliano, as well as, Coquitlam and Maple Ridge kind of loading up with trades as well. Out of Langley, who seems to be kind of waving the white flag a little bit in this season. And again, just kind of going back to what we're talking about at the beginning of the show, I really hope that Sask Lacrosse kind of get things figured out as to what's happening with that senior B division and why we're seeing teams, forfeiting and not able to make the trip to national championships. I think it would be a real shame if we, lose not another division, but if we lose a division, especially the junior B division, just because of lack of interest.
Right. Mike, last words to you.
Yeah, PLL back in action next weekend. No one has a bye. They're in Chicago, so there's no homecoming weekend. We've got Friday night, we've got Water Dogs at Redwoods. And then later at night on ESPN2, unless that network has changed, Archers at Atlas. And then Saturday, we've got Outlaws and the Cannons and the Whip Snakes versus the Chaos. And then again, maybe the most important game of the weekend, the women's game. The Charm and the Charging play for the second time this season. And this will be the Charging's last regular season game. They did beat the Charm in the first meeting. But that's one of those. If the Charging win, they probably lock up a spot in the final. But if they don't, it opens the door for the Charm. and even for the Boston guard who will play in the final 2 games of the season.
Right.
So we still could see a 4-way tie at 2-2 with all 4 teams potentially.
Right. Interesting. Do you have the formula for that one?
Well, yes, it will be goal differential, and right now, one sec. Right now, the Palms are at 2-1, but they are +8. The Charging are at 2-1, but their goal differential is 0. The Charm are 1-1 with a goal differential of -1, and the Guard are still at 0-2. They're on that big 6-week layoff with a -7 goal differential.
Hey, maybe they can buy some of the goal differential from Six Nations.
They got a few to spare.
Yeah, they seem to be selling everything else, right?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, the last 2 games after that will be the Guard will be playing the Charm, and then the Guard will be playing the Palms again. So,
right. Well, I want to look at things a little differently this week. Instead of us just going off on, oh man, Six Nations again, I want us to take a look at all the other teams. And I want you to take a look at who the budding stars of our future are going to be. The ones that we're going to talk about, like we're talking about Josh Byrne and Dane Smith. And like we're talking about, a Thomas Hogarth or a Ryan Lansbury or a Rob Hillier. Who are going to be the next budding stars? Who's going to be the Curtis Wards? Who is going to be the next one on, one of the Oakville guys? One of the Brampton guys that are coming up other than. Coburg's got a few. I love watching Brock Haley play. I think he's so much more than just a goal scorer. When you look at him off ball and you look at what he does facilitating, there's just so many different layers to that game. He's just a pleasure to watch. And there's a number of guys all through it in the WLA as well as in the MSL, as well as OSL as well. And I want people to start, taking summer ball for the developmental that it is at a high level and see who's ready to make that next leap to be one that's on our conversation continually. That, oh my God, that team, because he's got so-and-so, because those two are over there. Instead of just the usual tired stuff, because that's getting boring. Really it is. It's the same squeeze box that goes around and around and around. Okay, we got that one. We beat it to death. We know that's going to happen. Nothing we can do about it. Let's look at some of the future up-and-comers. And if we can do that, we can find our own fun in all this and start following them and seeing how they're going to do it. And, go with their ups and downs. Give you something else to actually be excited for. The X factors, the non-variables. And see if that can bring a little bit of life into what you already know. When you got a game that's coming up on Tuesday or Thursday and is Brampton and Six Nations, barring an absolute miracle, we already know the result. It's just how big the differential will be. Now let's look at who really stands out playing against, who are the Davids against the Goliaths that you want to invest in and see if you can be and where they can go from there. That to me is the interesting thing. And that's what I've been trying to keep in mind throughout most of the summer, and where you get to see some of these really exciting players really get, I made a comment about the Everest, the home Wickens. He was exciting yesterday. He had a couple of goals. He was all over the floor. He almost had a third one in that game. But guys like that who are, coming up from junior to be signed in there because they need some players and who are going to be leaving a mark. There was another one, his name is Colton McKechnie. He had a couple of goals also. And, both on Owen Sound, both were hit turners on the energy and the athleticism that they had and the high IQ that they had at a younger age. They're the ones I'm talking about who are the fun ones to watch, who are going to be going somewhere down the road. So just to keep that in mind, make things a little bit more interesting, a little bit more fun for everybody. And we'll continue to see. In fact, why don't we just figure that one out of who is your budding star of the week as we go forward, just to keep it a little bit more interesting and start looking at other things other than, well, he had 14 goals and he had 2 assists and he had 17 assists. And, it's the same names. Let's see who the other ones are. And see where we wind up with that. Anyways, reminder that we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Thread, we're on Twitch, as well as we are on YouTube and www.streampunkentertainment.com. Please visit us a couple of times a day, as the news is always changing. Pretty soon we'll be talking about NLL free agency, because it's only a couple of weeks away. Hard to believe, guys? Summer's just rolling along. We're in the dog days of summer here, right in the middle of July now, right? We just got past the first week. Now we're in the middle. Just like this. Before you know it, we'll be talking about how cool it is. So enjoy the heat. I know it was minus 35 here, right? So when somebody tells me how hot it is, I'm sorry. I look at them like they have 4 heads. I can put up with this for a few weeks, thanks. Let me get my marshmallows if I have to, That's okay. But anyways, we appreciate everybody being with us week in, week out, time in, time out, and sticking along with us for the entire show, as always. And we really do appreciate every one of you. So until next week, when we meet again, same time, 8 o'clock Eastern, Sunday night, for Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw, for Muffler Mike over in Connecticut, I'm Gary Groob in Toronto, wishing you the greatest of weeks. Remember, keep your sticks high, keep your spirits higher. See who your next budding star is along the way. See you next week, everybody.